Hello, dear friends. Welcome to my YouTube channel. I hope you are all doing well and feeling excited to learn something new today. Learning English is an incredible journey, but sometimes it feels difficult. Have you ever tried to listen to English but found it too fast? Do you struggle to understand native speakers when they talk? Do you feel nervous when speaking because you're not sure if you're saying the right words? If you answered yes to any of these questions, don't worry. You are not alone. Many English learners face the same problems. They want to speak English fluently, but when they try, they forget words. They want to understand English movies and conversations, but the words sound too fast. They study English grammar and vocabulary, but when it's time to use them in real life, they feel stuck. One of the biggest challenges English learners face is understanding spoken English. Imagine this. You are watching a movie in English. You know some words, but the actors speak quickly. You catch a few words, but you miss the meaning of the sentence. You rewind the scene, but it still feels too fast. You feel frustrated and think, maybe my English is not good enough. Or imagine this. You are in a conversation with an English speaker. They ask you a simple question, but you don't understand the first time. You ask them to repeat, but you still don't get it. You feel embarrassed, so you just nod and smile, even though you don't really know what they said. This happens to many learners, and because of this, they lose confidence. They start to believe that English is too difficult for them. Some people even stop learning because they feel like they will never understand spoken English. But what if I told you that there is a simple way to improve your listening skills? A way to train your ears, understand English more easily, and feel confident when listening to native speakers? The secret is listening to English every day. Yes. If you listen to English every day, your brain will start recognizing words more easily. You will get used to the speed of native speakers. You will learn how sentences sound naturally. And the best part? You don't need to study complicated grammar rules or memorize long vocabulary lists. Just listening will help you improve. Today, I will share a story about a student who struggled with English listening. He felt frustrated and stuck, but when he started listening to English every day, something amazing happened. His English improved, and he became more confident. Stay with me until the end, because his story might change the way you learn English forever. Let's begin. Meet Alex. He is a 19-year-old student who has been learning English for a few years. He studies hard, memorizes vocabulary, and practices grammar. He can read and write well, but there is one big problem. He struggles to understand spoken English. Whenever Alex listens to English, it feels like a blur. Words mix together, and sentences sound too fast. When he watches English movies, he only catches a few words. If he listens to a conversation between native speakers, he understands almost nothing. It feels frustrating because he knows many words, but when people speak, everything sounds different from what he learned in books. One day, Alex decides to challenge himself. He plays an English video on YouTube. The speaker talks fast, and Alex feels lost. He rewinds the video and listens again, but it doesn't help. He turns on subtitles and reads while listening. Now, he understands more, but when he turns off the subtitles, everything becomes unclear again. At school, Alex faces the same problem. His English teacher sometimes speaks in English during lessons, but Alex finds it hard to follow. He tries to concentrate, but after a few minutes he feels tired. His classmates seem to understand better, which makes him feel even worse. The real struggle happens when Alex tries to speak. One day, an English-speaking tourist asks him for directions. Alex understands the question, but panics. His brain freezes and he can't find the right words. He feels nervous, his hands sweat, and his heart beats fast. He wants to answer, but nothing comes out. Finally, he just points in the direction and says, "That way." The tourist thanks him and walks away, but Alex feels terrible. Why can't I speak properly? He thinks. His confidence starts to drop. He avoids situations where he has to speak English. When his teacher asks him a question, he looks down and hopes she picks someone else. If someone talks to him in English, he just smiles and says yes or no to keep the conversation short. Alex knows he needs to improve, so he tries different methods. He downloads an English learning app and listens to conversations, but the voices sound too slow and unnatural. He tries repeating after native speakers, but he can't keep up. He even tries to memorize full sentences, but when he speaks, it doesn't feel natural. One day, his school organizes a speaking practice session. Students have to talk to each other in English. Alex feels nervous, but decides to try. His partner asks, "What do you like to do in your free time?" Alex knows the words to answer, but his brain takes too long to find them. He finally says, I like movies." His partner smiles and asks, "Oh, what kind of movies do you like?" Alex panics again. He wants to say, "I like action movies," but he is too slow. His partner waits, but Alex just shrugs and says, "I don't know." After the session, Alex feels embarrassed. He thinks, maybe I will never speak English well. Maybe I'm just not good at learning languages. He starts to lose motivation. He still wants to improve, but he doesn't know how. One afternoon, I sat alone in the school cafeteria, feeling frustrated. My English class had just ended, and once again, I had struggled to keep up. The teacher had asked me a simple question, but I couldn't answer properly. My words came out slow, and I made mistakes. My classmates had spoken with confidence, while I had felt nervous and stuck. I pushed my food around my plate, not really hungry. I kept thinking, why is English so hard for me? Why can't I speak like other people? Just then, my friend David sat down across from me. David was different. He spoke English fluently and never seemed nervous. Whenever he talked, his words came out naturally. He understood native speakers easily, and he even laughed at English jokes. I had always wondered how he became so good at English. David looked at me and asked, "Hey Alex, what's wrong? You look upset." I hesitated, then sighed. "I just don't understand, David. I study English every day, but I still can't speak well. Every time I try, I forget words or say the wrong thing. When people talk, I don't understand them. It's really frustrating." David smiled. "I know exactly how you feel. I used to have the same problem." I stared at him. "No way. You speak so well. I thought you were always good at English." David shook his head. "Not at all. A few years ago I struggled just like you. I couldn't understand spoken English and I was too afraid to speak." This surprised me. If David had been like me before, then maybe there was hope. "So how did you improve?" I asked eagerly. David leaned forward. "I'll tell you a secret. Listening. Every single day." I frowned. Listening? But I already listen in class, and I still don't understand. David laughed. No, I mean real listening, not just in class. I listen to English all the time. At home, I played English podcasts. On the bus, I listened to English music. Before bed, I watched English videos. Even when I didn't understand everything, I kept listening. That's how my brain got used to English. I wasn't sure. But if I don't understand, what's the point? David nodded. That's normal at first. When I started, everything sounded too fast, and I only understood a few words. But I didn't stop. Every day I listened, even when it was hard. Slowly, my brain started recognizing words. Sentences became clearer. After a few months, I understood much more. And the best part? My speaking improved too. I was still doubtful. But how does listening help with speaking? David smiled. Think about how babies learn a language. They don't start by speaking. First, they hear their parents talk every day. They listen for months before they say their first words. That's how we learn naturally, by listening first. That made sense. I had never thought about it that way. So, you're saying I should just listen to English every day? Yes, David said, but not just any listening. Start with simple things. Don't listen to fast news reports or complicated lectures. Choose something easy, like children's stories, slow podcasts, or beginner-friendly videos. Listen to things you enjoy. And don't worry if you don't understand everything. Just keep going. I still wasn't sure. Listening to English every day sounded like a big commitment. Would it really work? What if I tried and still didn't improve? David seemed to read my mind. He smiled and said, just try it for 1 month. Give it 30 days. Listen every day, even if it's just 10 minutes. If it doesn't help, then you can stop. But I promise you, if you do this, you'll start to see a difference. I thought about it. I had already tried many things, memorizing words, practicing grammar, repeating sentences, but nothing had worked. Maybe this was worth a try. I took a deep breath and said, all right, I'll do it. I'll listen to English every day for a month. David gave me a thumbs up. That's the spirit. Trust me, Alex. This will change everything. I didn't know it yet, but those simple words, listen every day, were about to transform my English in ways I never imagined. That night, after finishing my homework, I sat on my bed with my phone in my hand. I had promised David that I would listen to English every day, but now that I had to start, I felt unsure. What should I listen to? What if I don't understand anything? I opened YouTube and searched for Easy English Listening. A list of videos appeared. Some were conversations, some were stories, and others were lessons. I chose a simple video, A Day in My Life, Easy English. I pressed play. A woman started speaking in English. Hello, my name is Sarah. Today I will show you my daily routine. I understood that part, but then she continued, speaking faster. I caught a few words, morning, coffee, breakfast, but I couldn't follow everything. It was frustrating. I wanted to stop. I felt like I was wasting my time. But I remembered what David had said. It's okay if you don't understand everything. Just keep listening. So I took a deep breath and played the video again. This time, I tried to focus on words I already knew. I didn't worry about understanding every sentence. The next day, I listened to the same video again. This time, I recognized more words. I still didn't understand everything, but I felt a little better. For the first few days, it was hard. My brain felt tired after listening for just 10 minutes. English still sounded too fast. Sometimes I wanted to quit. But I had made a promise, to David and to myself. So I kept going. Each day I listened to something new. I tried English songs, but the lyrics were difficult to catch. I listened to simple podcasts, but my mind often drifted away. I even watched cartoons in English because the characters spoke slowly. Some days I felt like I was making progress. Other days I felt stuck. But no matter what, I didn't stop. After 1 week, something interesting happened. I was listening to a short story when I suddenly realized I didn't need to translate every word in my head. I was starting to understand sentences without thinking in my own language. It was a small moment, but it gave me hope. After 2 weeks, I noticed another change. Words that once seemed strange now felt familiar. When I watched videos, I could guess the meaning of new words from context. When I listened to songs, I started recognizing phrases. Then something even more surprising happened. One afternoon, I was walking home when I passed a group of tourists. They were looking at a map, talking in English. Normally, I wouldn't pay attention. But this time, I found myself understanding parts of their conversation. They were saying things like, "We need to go straight," and "Where is the museum?" For the first time, I wasn't just hearing English, I was understanding it. I couldn't believe it. 3 weeks passed and I felt more confident. Listening to English no longer felt like a chore. It became part of my daily routine. I listened to podcasts while eating breakfast, played English songs while walking to school, and watched English videos before bed. One day I was in English class when my teacher played an audio clip. Usually I struggled to understand listening exercises. But this time, it was different. I listened carefully, and I understood. Not everything, but enough. Enough to follow the conversation. Enough to answer the teacher's questions without feeling lost. I sat back in my chair, shocked. Is this really happening? Then, something even bigger happened. During lunch, David and I were talking when he suddenly asked me a question in English. "Hey Alex, how was your weekend?" I opened my mouth to answer. Normally I would feel nervous. Normally I would pause, searching for words. But this time, the words came naturally. "Oh, it was good. I went to the park with my family. We had a picnic. The weather was nice." I stopped. Had I just spoken in English, without overthinking? David grinned. "See, I told you. Your listening is improving, and now your speaking is too." He was right. For the first time in my life, I felt confident speaking English. I wasn't perfect, but I wasn't afraid anymore. And all of this happened because of one small change. I had started listening to English every day. I had no idea that such a simple habit would change everything, but it did. And this was just the beginning. 1 month had passed since I started listening to English every day. What had once felt like a difficult task was now a habit, just like brushing my teeth or eating breakfast. Every morning, I played an English podcast while getting ready for school. At lunch, I listened to short stories. In the evening, I watched videos or listened to music in English. It no longer felt frustrating. In fact, I started enjoying it. One day, something amazing happened. I was at a small cafe near my school when a tourist walked in. He looked around, confused, then approached the cashier and asked, "Excuse me, do you speak English?" The cashier shook his head. "No English," he said. The tourist sighed. He seemed lost, looking around as if searching for someone who could help. At that moment, my heart started beating fast. Should I help him? A few months ago, I would have stayed quiet. I would have avoided eye contact, pretending I didn't understand. But this time, something inside me felt different. I stood up, walked over and said, "Can I help you?" The tourist's face lit up. "Oh, yes, please, I'm looking for the train station. Do you know where it is?" For a second, I hesitated. But then the words came. "Yes, you need to go straight, then turn left at the big supermarket. The train station is next to the bank." The tourist smiled. "Wow, your English is really good. Thank you so much." I smiled back. "You're welcome." As I sat back down, I felt something I had never felt before. Pride. I had just spoken English to a real native speaker, and I hadn't been scared. I hadn't panicked. I had just spoken. At that moment, I realized something important. Learning English wasn't about being perfect. It wasn't about knowing every word or never making mistakes. It was about confidence. It was about trying. I had spent so much time worrying about speaking English. I had been afraid of making mistakes, afraid of what people would think. But now I understood the truth. The more I listened to English, the more comfortable I felt with the language. And the more comfortable I felt, the easier it was to speak. Listening had changed everything for me. One evening, I met David at the park. I couldn't wait to tell him what had happened. "David, I spoke to a tourist today." He smiled. "Really? That's amazing. See? I told you listening to English every day would help." I nodded. I feel so much more confident now. I don't panic when I hear English. I can understand more, and speaking is easier too. David laughed. "So what's next? Are you going to keep listening every day?" "Of course," I said. "I'm just getting started." If you are learning English and feel stuck, I want to tell you something important. Don't give up. I know how frustrating it can be. I know what it feels like to struggle, to feel nervous, to be afraid of making mistakes. But I also know that things can change. The secret is simple. Listen to English every day. Even if you don't understand everything at first, keep going. Over time, you will start to recognize words. You will understand more. And one day, you will realize that speaking English has become easier. If I can do it, so can you. Start today. Find something in English, an audiobook, a podcast, a song, a video, and listen. Even just 10 minutes a day can make a huge difference. English is not just a language, it's a skill. And like any skill, the more you practice, the better you become. So keep going, stay patient, and remember, you can do this. As the weeks passed, I continued listening to English every day. I noticed that I understood more words and phrases, and I didn't need to translate everything in my head. But there was still one problem. I was afraid to speak. Even though I had learned so much, the fear of making mistakes held me back. Whenever I had a chance to talk in English, my mind would go blank. I worried that people would laugh at me, or that I would say something wrong. One day in class, our teacher announced, "Next week, we will have an English speaking activity. You will work in pairs and have a short conversation." My heart sank. A speaking activity? In front of the whole class? That night, I couldn't sleep. The idea of speaking in English in front of everyone made me so nervous. I thought about skipping class that day, but then I remembered something David had told me. The only way to get better at speaking is to speak. It's okay to make mistakes. No one is perfect. I took a deep breath. Maybe I should try. To prepare, I started speaking to myself in English at home. I stood in front of the mirror and practiced simple sentences. "Hello, how are you? My name is Alex. I like to read books." At first, I felt silly talking to myself, but after a few days, it started to feel normal. Then, I decided to take the next step. Instead of just listening to English, I started repeating what I heard. When I watched a video, I paused and tried to say the sentences out loud. When I listened to songs, I sang along. Slowly, I became more comfortable hearing my own voice in English. The day of the speaking activity arrived. I was still nervous, but I reminded myself, I don't have to be perfect. I just have to try. My partner was a classmate named Sarah. She smiled and said, "Let's start." I took a deep breath and spoke. At first, my voice was shaky. I forgot a few words, but then something amazing happened. I kept going. Sarah understood me. She answered, and we had a real conversation.